Good afternoon, gang. Today for me is Sunday, so although I do believe that the Buddha existed and I follow the Dalai Lama, like the Dalai Lama, I'm also interested in Christianity. The Dalai Lama was a student of Thomas Merton. I wish I could have been. If you want to read about Thomas Merton, read The 7-Story Mountain. It's on the side of my bed. That's on my bedside table. I read it at least once a year, so it might be good for you to read too. We're taking a break from hypermobility today, as you've seen by the little text beside the video, hopefully. And I want to talk about my teacher training classes. And I'm using this small book called the Bible, or it's the New Testament, seeing that it's Sunday. And I opened it to Corinthians 3:9-15. And this is a really, really good translation if you're interested. It is called the Remix, Eugene Peterson Remix. And it's, if you want to find out about it, go to www.navpress, capital N-A-V, capital P-R-E-S.com. And it's done in the US, and NavPress is a publishing ministry of an international Christian organization, but they do a really good translation that's open to everybody. Anyway, I'll just read it and then you'll see how it applies to what I'm talking about in teacher training. So, using the gift God gave me as a good architect, I designed the blueprints. Let each carpenter who comes on the job take care to build on this foundation. Remember, there is only one foundation, and it's already been laid. Take particular care in picking out your building materials. Eventually, there's going to be an inspection. If you use cheap or inferior materials, you'll be found out. The inspection will be thorough and rigorous. You won't get by with a thing. If your work passes inspection, fine. If it doesn't, your part of the building will be torn down and started over. But you won't be torn down, you will survive. So, remember that you are the temple. Anyway, so how that relates to what I do is, I don't teach flashy yoga. I teach the real yoga. I teach remedial yoga and I teach hatha, but they are the asanas. I teach the yamas, I teach the sutras, I teach the philosophy, and I teach it as I was taught, and my teacher, Margaret Sigismund, taught the foundations, and I have built on those foundations with further reading from teachers like Ramacharaka and Shivananda, or Yogananda, or Vivekananda, all of those older teachers who are really steeped in tradition. That is what I teach. If you want the latest way to do warrior pose or want me to speak in Sanskrit, you have come to the wrong person. I teach the foundations. You don't need to know Sanskrit to learn the foundations any more than you need to know Hebrew or Greek to read the Bible. Okay? Fantastically, I decided a couple of weeks ago that I would try to start a studio class for teacher trainers. I've done it in the past, but I gave up about 4 years ago when it seemed that people just didn't have time and they went back to using the distance education primarily and didn't have time to come to class or do those things. They got caught up. And so I thought, no, there's a new group of people, let us try the studio teaching method again, which requires that you actually turn up to the studio at least 3 times a week and do a philosophy class and anything else I might like to drop in. I will correspond with the students as they come to me, and we will find the best way to work together, rather than me sort of saying, okay, you've got to turn up for these 3 dates, we'll make times at work, and then I have to keep to them, so they have to keep to them. And that's how it works. Now, although I only decided this and I haven't really advertised it, and I put a small advertisement in the paper, I have had students come to me who haven't responded to those at all. They didn't see them. They responded to a call other than that. And I think that's even better. You know, just when you want to do something, if you put it out there, you don't know where the reply is going to come. You don't know where you can plant the seed there, but the wind blows it, and goodness knows where the seed ends up and where the harvest comes from. So I'm really pleased with the people that have responded to me and who are starting in the new year. God bless. It's going to be a fantastic class because I'm innovated. I thank goodness for a class that's going to come and sit in front of me, which is the way that I really like to teach. And we're going to do some really fantastic things together. So this is going to be a fabulous class. I'm sorry that everybody who wants to can't come. You know, I've got people in Rosebud and people in Moama and people in all parts who would love to come, but they're just too far away to come for a class. Maybe they can come for a Saturday, which would be 10 o'clock class, 12 o'clock class, and maybe a 2:30 philosophy class, or 10 o'clock, 11:30 and 12:30, something like that. So it'd be 10 o'clock class would be restorative, 11:30 would be philosophy, and 12:30 restorative. So, you know, maybe that's the way it will work out. I don't know how it will work out at the moment, but it will work out. And we will put down some really fabulous teacher training routes. Keep in mind, if you're interested, that mine is not an easy peasy class. You know, a while ago I sat next to somebody at a yoga function who had done one of these quickie learn yoga in 3 weeks kind of things. And I said to her, what exactly is it you're teaching? And she said, well, yoga. And I said, oh, yes. What asanas do you do? And she told me a few of the easy peasy ones. And I said, what about inversions? Oh, no, she said, we don't do inversions, they're dangerous. I thought, oh, well, you know, that's your point of view. That's how you were taught. They may not be dangerous, but there you are. And I said, what about the sutras? Oh, she said, yes, I learned about sutras. We did, I forget how many hours she said, so, you know, we did 2 hours of sutras in our course. And I thought, my goodness me, people do more than 2 hours sutras once a month in my course. You know, I expect them to be doing more than 2 hours of sutra in a month. So how can this person teach yoga? And anyway, on further inquiry, it turned out that she was teaching remedial yoga therapy to people who were too ill to come to class, and she was employed by a medical group to do that. And I was horrified that somebody who'd done kind of a meager 200 hours, primarily asanas and chanting, and simple chanting, not something like the Guru Gita or something like that, had the audacity to apply for a job teaching people who were too ill to leave their houses, and had been employed blithely by a medical group to do that. And you know, we have to up the status of yoga. We have to get people thinking of yoga in a new way so that those kind of mistakes don't happen. I'm the director of the Australasian Yoga Institute, and in that capacity I felt honour bound to contact somebody I knew within the medical group that she worked for and alert them to the fact that she really wasn't qualified enough to do the job that they had given her to do. In fact, it could be seen as dangerous. Whether they took any notice of my words or not was up to them, but I think they did. Don't expect me to sit on my hands. I'm not going to. If I see something like that happening, I will say something, because it's really important. The same as when yoga organizations register people who are not qualified, just because they have the gift of the gab and can talk their way into a qualification. It's not enough. We're trying to raise the status of yoga teachers here to a professional body, and that means we can't register everybody. In the old days, people like myself, we apprenticed, and then we've done multiple studies afterwards. But there wasn't any teacher training when I was starting out. There wasn't. And so I did my teacher training after that. And, you know, if I'd have just stayed at that level, it wouldn't have been adequate. That is for sure. So yes, teacher training is enormously important, and I'm constantly exploring new ways to do things, new ways to ensure, new ways to register, new ways to work. I have to tell you that if you register through me, I know that I'm a member of Yoga Australia, but you don't need that really. Yoga Australia doesn't give you anything more than I give you. Yoga Australia used to, they used to be able to say you can get rebates, but now the government is taking away rebates from complementary therapies. It's even taking rebates off herbalists and acupuncturists and homeopaths and acupuncturists. Do you think they're taking it off yoga? Absolutely they are. They are rewarding sick people. They are not encouraging wellness. But that doesn't help us in registering. So if you are under the impression that my registration is lesser than Yoga Australia, you are mistaken. I really pay attention to who registers with me. It's not just a blanket thing. I don't send it to a board and let them decide. There's not hundreds of people applying for registration with me. Everyone gets considered on very carefully, and I try to do the best that I can. Please don't demand things from me, because I don't respond well to demands. I respond well to inquiries. And it's really important that you understand that my 200 is as valuable as any 350. I might put mine up to 350 because my girls are doing about 500 hours of study, so the 200 or 350 is not even relevant. The RYTA means Registered Yoga Teacher Australia, and the 200 does not mean that you've only done 200 hours. It means that when I started out, that was a minimum qualification. But from January 1, I'm going to put my hours up to 350 because you're all doing that. And we will put the 200 hours in the history books, because that's what it's about. It's about lineage and history. And, it'd be nice to recognize it somewhere, but it's not entirely relevant to what is required. So yes, 350 is what you have. A lot of the girls that I deal with, they do 500 and 600 hours, and I encourage you to do that. And And when you train with me, you'll put things in a passport, and I will be able to tell from the passport how many hours you've done. And if you've only done the minimum, then you'll only get the 200 hours. Hello, hello. If you've done really good work and worked hard, you'll get the 350. If you're consistently putting in excellent results, you'll get 350. If I keep on having to say revise, 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 pay attention, you'll only get the 200. It's, I value up statistics. I do not reward people who are not working. Somebody said I was a grouchy old tart, and yes, I am, but I really want you to work hard and realize that it's your responsibility at what level you pass. It's not my responsibility. I am doing what I can to encourage you. It's your responsibility to respond. And if I send something back to be revised, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means you haven't understood, or haven't been clear enough, or your work hasn't been extensive enough research done. So yes, it's hard to fail on my course. There's only one person that I can remember that did, and that was because she wouldn't respond to my requests for change. So yes, you will pass, but the level you pass at, that is your responsibility. So I hope that in spite of all my doomsaying, that you really do consider coming into my yoga classes. You really do consider coming into teacher training, whether that's distance or studio or a combination. This morning I was talking to a new student over the phone, and she said, do you do this? I said, yes. And do you do that? And yes. And can I have this? Yes. And can you do this? Yes. And I said to her, I sound like an Optus ad. I'm yes, 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 yes. But I really want you to come and to be part of it, and if I can make it happen, I will. And if it requires yes, 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 and more work for me, then I will do that in order to give you your opportunity to become a yoga teacher. We need more yoga teachers, but we need you to specialize. It's no more possible to say, oh yes, I'm a yoga teacher. You've got to say what kind you are. I know what I am. I'm a remedial yoga teacher. Yoga therapist used to be the name that said what I am, but it doesn't anymore. Anybody calls themselves a yoga therapist nowadays. I'm sure they've got yoga therapy with goats. So I am renaming what I do remedial yoga. And I hope that sits well with you. I can teach hatha, but my passion is remedial. I love to work with people who need to go the extra mile. Okay, so this is my Christmas message. Join yoga teacher training, join my yoga school. Oh, and I'm going to put in a whole lot more remedial, restorative yoga classes, because that's what people seem to be wanting. I think that's all my message today. I didn't write it down. I just, it's inspired, as Joyce Meyer would say. Have a lovely day. I've just picked a big bucket of raspberries out of my garden. Guess what I'll be doing? Eating some of them. Namaste. Have a gorgeous afternoon. Today is your day of rest. It's a Sunday.